China has accused US President Joe Biden and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida of, quote, smearing and attacking Beijing after the two leaders unveiled plans for deeper defense cooperation during their summit in Washington. Beijing accused them of grossly interfering in its internal affairs, citing issues ranging from Taiwan to maritime security. It added that the two countries should not target and harm other nations' interests or undermine regional peace and stability. During their latest talks, Mr. Biden and Mr. Kishida announced plans to deepen cooperation across space, semiconductor and defense sectors, including the restructuring of America's military command in Japan, the biggest such change since the 1960s. Mr. Biden has defended the upgrade in ties as purely defensive and not aimed at any one nation.
We are the same, Japan and the United States. We may be divided by distance, but generations after generation, we've been brought together, the same hopes, the same values, the same commitment to democracy and freedom and to dignity for all. And today, without question, our alliance is literally stronger than it has ever been.
Japan and the United States are united than ever before. Let me conclude with a line from Star Trek, which you all know. To boldly go where no one has gone before.
And for more, Benji Hyer joins us live from Washington, D.C. Benji, we're hearing that Mr. Kishida, quoting from Star Trek, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Now, he is set to address the U.S. Congress in just a few hours. Are we likely to expect more of the same sentiment?
Well, this is a big deal, yes. I mean, this is the first time a Japanese Prime Minister will be addressing US Congress since the late Shinzo Abe, the former Prime Minister, visited lawmakers on Capitol Hill back in 2015. It's an honour bestowed to very few world leaders, Kishida becoming just the sixth to speak to lawmakers in this fashion during Joe Biden's presidency alone. And as you say, an important speech because of what he will try to do, which is underscore the importance of that strong partnership now between the United States and Japan, a relationship that's transformed in past decades and was reaffirmed, as we were hearing just before, during yesterday's meeting at the White House with President Joe Biden. But his audience here is very key because sitting in the seats in Congress will be a number of Republican Party politicians who have been reluctant for America to take a stronger role on the global stage. They have espoused the sort of rhetoric and the ethos that we've heard from former President Donald Trump and the Republican Party's presumptive nominee, who's pushed for an American first agenda, a more protectionist position. And the reason this is important and the context here is that congressional leaders, lawmakers are currently sitting on a huge funding package worth tens of billions of dollars that would give foreign aid to, yes, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, but also to allies in the Indo-Pacific, including Taiwan. Now, Japan's not due to be a recipient of any of this foreign aid, but it is a big contributor towards Ukraine. It cares, of course, about the fate of Taiwan, given it's in its vicinity in the South China Sea. And also, it's expected to be talked about during conversations at a trilateral meeting later. Senate's Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said earlier this week that he hopes Kishida would underscore that we're in a worldwide situation here against the enemies of democracy led by Russia, Iran and China.
And speaking of China, Benji, tensions in China likely to be in the spotlight as the leaders of the US, Japan and the Philippines gather for that trilateral summit later as well. Given recent run-ins in the South China Sea, given the large drills we saw over the weekend, the recurring issue of China, how do you think it will be phrased? What narrative will that have on this particular trilateral summit?
Well, it's going to be front and centre. It will be interesting to see how careful the language is that comes from these three nations in any sort of statement that they put out after their trilateral meeting. But the very fact that they're having it unprecedented between these three countries is, of course, a big deal and is meant to show a strong message to China about how Japan, Philippines and the United States now are sharing many security interests. Also, some of the policies that we're expected to hear that have been outlined to us by senior administration officials. For example, cooperation in the South China Sea, more maritime drills and cooperation, demonstrations of support by the US and Japan standing shoulder to shoulder with the Philippines under pressure, as the US says, from China. All that already being put into practice, as you say, through those military drills, through others that will be promised as well. Japan, over the past year and a half, purchasing US Tomahawk missiles, the Philippines granting US military access to more bases on its island too. And ultimately, that is going to be the reason why these leaders are gathering and will be the main form of rhetoric that will come from statements that we see from the three world leaders later this afternoon here in Washington.
And thanks for that, Benji Hyer there reporting live from Washington, D.C.